Hi, I'm just going to share some information. This is from High Impact Vlogs, and he's been doing some excellent videos covering the lockdown and everything to do with this COVID-19 issue. So to start off, I'm just going to play this couple of minutes here from his video.
In hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that if...
So let's just get this straight, guys. I want to make it perfectly clear. You were going to die, and then we tested you and found out that you have CV. But you may not have had CV because the test we're going to administer to you has an 80% false positive rate, so the likelihood that you don't have it is very high, but if you die with it, we're going to count you as a CV death anyway.
Technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So
you died of a...
So now I'm just going to show you this, which was a link from his other video, which shows this test, and it's called a polymerase chain reaction, and so this is what they're looking for, this reactive genome, and there are a number of other things besides coronavirus, which I assume any coronavirus really could trigger that, but also included in it is toxic substances, cancer, stress, ionizing radiation, infection, injury, immune response, asthma, disease, electromagnetic radiation. So this is what they're looking for, apparently, exosomes in the body. So, not everybody who tests positive for COVID-19, well, actually just coronavirus, okay, because they're not testing specifically for COVID-19. I think we need to get that very clear. Nobody's doing a test and say, oh, we've identified COVID-19 virus in the body. They're looking for shadows, paws, cat paws in the snow, okay? But there are a number of creatures that can cause exact same prints, is basically what is going on here. So every day people are hearing, oh, this many people have died of coronavirus, this many people. I can only assume from what I've heard about what's going, that what's happening in America, exact same thing is happening in Britain. And we do need to take note now, because this is quite serious. It is a very serious matter. I mean, what that lady just said there is, well, it's incredible, really. It is incredible. I don't understand how any medic could agree to participate in such a charade. Well, it is actually an act of fraud, because to test somebody for a virus using a test which is so which itself is only an assumption, and then this person has died from any number of causes, but actually because they have been found to have tested positive, and through that test one assumes then that they had COVID-19, but that's not what killed them. They may not have even exhibited any symptoms for it. but that gets listed as COVID-19 death. And then that gets sent to the press to inform the public daily of how many people are dying of COVID-19. You know, this is an act of fraud. This is just blatant fraud. I mean, we've gone from blatant banking, financial fraud now, to just blatant medical fraud. This is a mass medical fraud. And there really does need to be some serious questions asked. And now, what is going on? What is really going on? Again, I'm not saying that there's no such thing as COVID-19. I'm not saying it doesn't kill people. But I am very concerned when numbers are being bumped up in this fraudulent way. I mean, they might say, well, it isn't an act of fraud because we are explaining this to people. But I'm sorry, it's like explaining to people, you've all got to be locked in your homes because there's a tiger out prowling the streets of your locality, and then explaining to them, well, you know, we've been finding people mauled by a tiger. That's not what actually killed them, but anybody that bears these slight marks that we think might be from a tiger. I mean, it's just ridiculous, to the point that, well, really, you know, the tiger isn't really there. It turns out to be an angry domestic cat. But, you know, you stay in your homes, you carry on keeping your 6 feet distance apart. Just make sure you get out and clap on the street for the healthcare workers who are what? Participating in this mass fraud? And then, you know, we've got the, this, what you can only call an abomination. And perhaps even you could go so far as to describe it as an act of tyranny. The coronavirus bill, with all its dubious, you know, its dubious title, which basically refers to even the common cold. So, you know, according to the letter of the law, the golden rule of law, this bill applies to anybody that tests positive for the common cold. Anything from the common cold to COVID-19 and all the flu viruses and whatever in between it. That is legally what this bill is addressing. They state in the bill, you know, I've had it up before, I think it's on page 25, they say that coronavirus means COVID-19, basically. That is a lie. You know, I'm sorry, a bill cannot alter medical terminology. You see, we're talking about, look, these are legalities now. Let's get to the legalities. You cannot alter medical terminology to fit your coronavirus bill. Tory government. Because coronavirus does not mean COVID-19. Coronavirus refers to a multitude of strains of cold and flu viruses. And then, you know, there's the other thing that I've pointed out before, you know, this for the purpose of inquests. You know, they're saying COVID-19 is not a notifiable disease, meaning that therefore they don't need to have an inquest with the jury, when actually COVID-19 is a notifiable disease, and it was at the time that this bill was allegedly written, though I do strongly suspect that this is a fingerprint pointing to the fact that it was actually written well before COVID-19 had even, you know, the government had even decided that COVID-19 was a risk publicly. Publicly, the government was saying, oh no, we're not going to have a lockdown. And then the press, oh, look, Boris Johnson is trying to kill us all, you know, give us a lockdown. And yeah, next minute everybody's got a lockdown, people are losing their jobs, their businesses, the coronavirus bill gets reeled out, you know, with all its draconian powers. I mean, how many times do I have to share it? Is anybody going to bother to have a look at it in Britain? Do you really believe that this is a Bugs Bunny cartoon? Do you not consider it very serious? And I ask myself that on the strength of protecting us from a disease, that suddenly you can suffer cruel and unnecessary treatment under the Mental Health Act. No medical certification for burials or cremations now required. Health service being indemnified if they kill you with the forced experimental treatments. No liability. Freedom to kill. Basically, the NHS has been now transformed into a service that can kill the patients, force them to have treatments and kill them. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. And this is supposed to be to protect us. A bill that does not take into account the horrors of organised child abuse and the kind of people that are involved in that have infiltrated every sphere of authority and profession in Britain. And what, you think they don't get together to include children, that they won't abuse, that this bill will not be abused to abuse children, to abuse women, to target ethnic social groups, minority social groups. It's absolutely outrageous. And again, you know, yeah, explaining the law and querying facts, okay, what's being presented as fact, basically exposing crime is not a criticism, or exposing evidence of crimes or lawful suspicion of crimes when we have evidence to back that suspicion up. So the suspicion here is that a fraud is going on and there's an agenda, and what is the agenda? You know, I mean, I noticed that finally in April now they've decided to update their Crown copyright on this document, which previously I had shared in a previous video. I don't know if I've still got the video up now, but I had shared it in the previous video. 2015 they had COVID-19 listed in this PDF. I'll leave you the video underneath it, but I sent it to UK Column and they queried the government, and the government said, oh yeah, we updated it but we forgot to change the copyright. Just this last week they've updated it, and they've said last updated March, but they've only updated it actually in April. So, you know, they're claiming that they got into this document, and, you know, I've even got it on my, because I did do screenshots of it all, so, you know, I've got it in here, the original date, if I can find it, that it was actually, and here we go, 2015, oops, I've done a paint on it, I didn't mean to do a paint, but it says there, you know, 2015, don't know, for some reason, there you go, 2015, and you know, this is the document. It's the same document, you know, and they had COVID-19 listed. They had COVID-19 listed on a 2015 PDF, and you know, there it is. You saw the 2015. They've updated it now. Now they've actually bothered, you know, and you can see at the top here, it says March 2015 final PDF. At the top of where it says 5-7, you can see March 15 final PDF, and they had COVID-19, SARS COVID-19 listed under infections, single infections, second on the list. So, you know, only after I'd exposed it, and then UK Column asked questions about it, and now they've deigned to update the copyright. Now, a lot of people might think it's not that important. Okay. I mean, did they know about COVID-19 in 2015? It's strange that they didn't bother. They still haven't bothered to update the latest edition, which is a much more comprehensive document to the same organisations. But you know, it isn't. They've not bothered to list COVID-19 in this. They've not bothered to update this, even though it is a much more comprehensive plan for dealing with the same thing. Multi-agency contingency plan. It's strange that they haven't updated this, but they decided to go and update the 2015. But like I say, it is evidence at the very least of slapdash, ignore the law, we've got an agenda, we're just going to get this done now. And it's strange that they actually had to pass a law to add COVID-19 to the list of notifiable diseases for GPs in Britain, but they didn't have to alter the law or create a law to add COVID-19 to the list of diseases, notifiable diseases for prisons and places of detention. So I don't understand what that's about, but you know. But nonetheless, what we're witnessing here, it seems to me, is an agenda. And they're starting out with the broad brush strokes. COVID-19, banking crash. You know, it's COVID-19 there. Quick, there's a banking crash, right? Don't worry, we've got COVID-19 ready. Everyone's going to be locked in the homes. Nobody's going to be able to get close enough to each other to even talk about a banking crash, or talk about having protests, or talk about, or we aren't going to deal with the fallout of the banking crash. What we're going to deal with is a pandemic, and we're going to make sure there's a pandemic by identifying a new virus. Maybe there, you know, as I say, I'm not saying there isn't a virus. I'm not saying it isn't a risk to people. But what I'm saying is the way they're going about it is very strange to me. It is very strange that if this is a deadly virus, that is a pandemic, and then, you know, test people for the actual virus. List the people that have died because of the virus, that the virus itself has killed them, then list that as the cause of death. People who tested positive with COVID-19 but died of something else, totally unrelated, then you can add them to the list of people who had COVID-19, but you cannot add them to the list of people who died of COVID-19, because that is an act of fraud. And it's a very serious act of fraud, especially in a country like Britain, where we're facing this coronavirus bill on the strength of it. So we need accurate numbers. We need to know, okay, what warrants this level of horror, terror actually, the terror bill, that what, people can come into our homes, test us positive on such a dubious test, cart us off somewhere in isolation, kill us, cremate us, without even so much as a word to the family and no investigations. What? Pardon? What? This is supposed to be to protect us from a virus. And then we find out that this level of fraud, I mean absolute, blatant, in-your-face fraud. Now I want to know what medics are agreeing to participate in this and why you're not speaking out. And, you know, it just says to me, well, yeah, obviously that was how Hitler got into power then, isn't it? That is how he got into power. Everybody just goes along with the narrative. Yeah, this is the latest thing now. Yeah, yeah, you came into hospital with kidney failure, but actually you've tested positive for coronavirus, according to our dubious test, which isn't really even testing for coronavirus. Well, isn't testing for COVID-19 specifically, but is looking for tracers. And we're going to add you to the coronavirus deaths and scare the British public with it and show, oh look, another so many hundred people have died of coronavirus deaths today. Is that what is going on in Britain? Exactly. Is that what's going on in America? That's what's going on in Britain. And they're talking about coming into our homes and removing children. In a country where children are already going missing from care in their hundreds and thousands every year. Even babies under the age of 1. On average, by today, 200 babies under the age of 1 are going missing from care. Disappearing, you know, not being adopted out, not... Obviously a child under the age of 1 can't run away. We're talking, you know, nearly 2,000 children in 2013, over 2,000 in 2012. Goodness knows what the numbers are by now. 160 babies under the age of 1 in 2012, 180 babies under the age of 1, just disappearing. And this is why we have child protection protocols. Apparently, this is why we have a law. Apparently, what is going to be happening when there is no law, except the coronavirus bill, which just about gives anybody with a bit of power the legal right to remove children from their family home on the strength of what? Such a dubious test that isn't actually even testing specifically for coronavirus, sorry, for COVID-19, but is looking for markers that could be produced by any number of things that the tests aren't. And what we are now waiting for Bill Gates' vaccine. A computer guy is a guy who, what, he's made a lot of money out of computers. Suddenly he's dictating to the whole world. Is he God? We're all going to roll up our sleeves and get our vaccine. A vaccine for what? Show us what this virus is. Show us how it operates differently to, say, for example, SARS-CoV-2. Give us some information beyond newspaper headlines, the BBC, and various government spokespeople and government appointed medics standing there telling us what's what, and then we're finding out what's what. And things aren't adding up. But one thing is adding up, is that we're witnessing a huge power grab. We're witnessing scrapping of our human rights, scrapping of all our businesses and jobs. What is going on? And then from there, we get to this, you know, Bill Gates cryptocurrency system using body activity data. You know, this is Bill Gates. 1 WO 2020 060606. So people are saying, you know, one world order 2020, and then the mark of the beast, the 3 6s, is what people are making of it. I mean, you know, but could it get more blatant? It is literally adding fuel to the fire, isn't it? To give a document of this proportion. And, you know, connected to Microsoft and Bill Gates, and it's just, it's like, you know, what is really going on? So, alright, they've decided to fulfill Revelations. Is that what we are witnessing? They're that crazy. You know, that even the people of Nineveh, thousands of years ago, had the common sense not to bow down to a horrible prophecy, but instead decided to alter their ways. But this lot are like hell-bent on fulfilling the most terrible prophecy that anybody could ever imagine, that actually came, according to the evidence, was written by a guy called Cerinthus, a Greek Gnostic, misogynist, probably anti-Christian as well, since St. John the Apostle, who he attributed Revelations to, actually loathes Cerinthus and called him the deceiver of all mankind. What, and all mankind is going to just go along with this thing now? Because there needs to be some big changes on this planet. And I tell you, certainly not the way that Bill Gates, the likes of Bill Gates, imagines. Because it is precisely because of men like him, rich men, with their dreams and their schemes and their ambitions, that are destroying our planet. You know, they love to blame humanity. They love to come out with the too many people trope. After God said, go forth and multiply, right? God did not say to humanity, go forth and multiply, so that a few rich billionaires can be created and then they can kill you all off in a giant bloodbath on behalf of saving the planet that actually they have destroyed, and they have enslaved you to work for them, to participate in the destruction, because otherwise you're going to starve, because they've took all the land off you, they've took your own rights of production off you, they've imposed their laws on you, their taxes and their rents and their this and that you've got to pay, otherwise bang, you're out on the street living out of a bloody shopping trolley. And they want to blame us, the people, for what's happened to our planet. That, oh, there's too many people, when no, actually, it took one corporation to destroy the Pacific Ocean, and that was TEPCO. It took one corporation to put the whole of the Japanese population at risk, and that was TEPCO. Not humanity. Humanity didn't ask for nuclear power. We didn't want it. We have never wanted it. We don't like it. Who's forcing us to have it? A handful of men in suits. Humanity can live perfectly well on this planet. Even more of us. The population could double. We would still live comfortably on this planet without destroying the planet. We would have the best technology. But no, it's been held back because any technology that's threatened the oil industry gets shelved. We know that. That you people, you rich people, you multi-billionaires take control of our production, you orchestrate everything to serve your own purposes, and so you can stay in control because you're so crazy you don't understand that. Look, the more you try to control life, the more it all gets out of control, because life actually controls itself, in case you hadn't noticed. The universe controls life, not a few men in suits and a few alleged women in suits. And I have to say alleged because, you know, are they connected to their femininity? You know, certainly men are disconnected from any sense of compassion, it seems. Once they become a billionaire, it's like you can throw compassion in the waste disposal unit. Apparently it's a sign of weakness. Well, it isn't. It's a human facet. It's what actually makes us human. So, you know, you're going to dump your compassion, you've dumped your intelligence. Because if you're not connected to compassion, you're not connected to your conscience, you're blind, you're not actually fit to lead anybody. And Bill Gates certainly isn't. So, you know, there needs to be some serious questions now being asked, because this is just totally, sorry, right? This is worse than an Orwellian nightmare. And it's like, look, I'm sorry, no, that's fiction, okay? Your fiction is a fiction, even right down to the death figures now then that you're giving us. These are the people that have died of COVID-19 deaths. It's like, no, sorry, you cannot do that. That is illegal. It's a fraud. It's a crime. And anybody who participates in this fraud, you know, we need the facts. We need to know what we're dealing with here. Right, we're dealing with the banking collapse. There's going to have to, something this time is going to have to be done. People are going to need to be arrested. Why has the system crashed again? What has been going on? What crimes? Sorry, you cannot, you are not going to sacrifice the children of our planet. You are not going to sacrifice everything that for generations we, the people, have struggled to establish, and that includes our human rights. You are not going to take all that away on the strength of a virus that actually we know nothing about. We still have not seen exactly how this virus works. How is it different from SARS-CoV-2? What's the mechanism that's different? How does it work? How are you detecting it? How sure are you with the tests? How many people have actually died of COVID-19 in relation to the people who are suspected of having it? You know, even the people suspected, if that's the best you can do, okay, a suspicion. But what I'm sharing here is beyond a suspicion, isn't it? That, you know, these are facts of evidence. These are facts that are out there in the world. This isn't, these aren't theories. These aren't assumptions. These aren't suspicions. But suspicions are formulated on the evidence, aren't they? So, you know, just as if you find some evidence of this, what's it called, chain reaction. You find some evidence of this chain reaction, you're going to suspect COVID-19, and then, so then that's going to be a positive. Then all right, then we suspect it, we've got the evidence, we're going to go straight for a positive. Well, I'm not doing that, but I am saying that actually, based on you know, the way the system's working now and how they're gathering evidence, you know, I mean, basically with what I've just shared, I could come straight out and say, well, therefore, working on your own framework as you've applied to the coronavirus, to COVID-19, I will say flat out, this whole thing's a scam. You are using it as a cover for your banking collapse that you knew was coming. You burst that bubble, let the pandemic out, lock everybody in the homes, shut down protests, tell everybody they're unemployed, blah, blah, blah now because of coronavirus. Create this draconian bill that basically gives you powers to kill people and cremate them en masse. Basically. Because such an agenda could quite easily be rolled out and everybody just think, oh, they died of COVID-19, yeah, died of COVID, oh, tested positive for COVID-19, took into an isolation centre, died, got cremated, no need for an inquest, yeah, sorry loves, bye. What? No, this cannot be, this just cannot be. Now, I'm glad that at least one law firm is asking a few questions. I should hope that everybody asks questions, because I tell you now, I know for a fact that we the people, humanity, we can live safely on this planet. We can clean our planet up. We can live with compassion. We can care for each other. We will not be destroying the planet. We will actually improve the planet and clean up this corporate filth. And without us, I tell you now, all you people at the top, you billionaires who are rolling out your plans, your mad, crazy schemes, I tell you, the lot of you are doomed. You're doomed without us. Okay? And you will not have us by controlling us, you see, because you're just going to have slaves. Because your plan is totally... It is insane. It is insane. And you are literally doomed because of the amount of filth that you've done, what you've done to this planet. It needs manpower to sort it out. We the people are going to have to sort it out. You are going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. You're going to empty out your offshore accounts, your trillions and billions that you've got stored away there, and you are going to pay for it. And you're going to pay people living wages to do it. You're going to end the poverty that you've inflicted in places like Africa with your lack of care and conscience. You're going to raise the people up. We are going to live happy in this universe, right? This universe was not created to fulfill some horrific, insane nightmare to bring it to reality. But that is what has been happening. That is what I've experienced in my life. That is what I have to live with daily, even in my life where I've got food and I have shelter. But how can I forget as I eat my food? How can I forget as a human being that there's people who aren't eating, that there's children suffering? Because specifically by order of an economy and the will of the people who control that economy. That it does not have to be like that. That these people in Africa have been robbed. They have been robbed and they are still being robbed day by day. People getting rich and leaving them in the dirt, leaving them with nothing. It's disgusting. It's outrageous. But we have to live with it every single day. People wonder, you know, why I get so upset, so angry about things, because It isn't why we're here. This madness is some crazy fantasy, historical fantasy of dead men who were dead and gone, who knew nothing of what we know today, of how precious every single person is in this universe, in this whole galaxy, possibly. Every single person is so precious. And we have immense potential, but you're going to just throw all that humanity away. You're not going to let it flourish and grow to be the flowers that there should be. You're going to say, no, we only want tulips. Because, you know, we have to be in control. You're going to grow in these straight lines. That is not the way nature works. That's, you know, having faith in God is to have faith in the intelligence that created us. Have faith in human intelligence. Faith in humanity. What is it with you people? Are you so blind you don't understand that what it is to see? To have feelings, to have a conscience, to have care, to have compassion. You don't understand that you're heading right straight for a cliff. You think you're pushing the people over the cliff, but no, you are going right over the cliff with them by the force of the gravity of the situation that you are causing. You either get away from this black hole economy and turn now around to do some good on this planet other than vaccinating people against, a lot of them, against their will. And this idea of, you know, we're going to be monitoring everybody and we're all going to have facial recognition, as if everybody, you know what, everybody's suddenly a terrorist, are we? Because we could be harbouring a dangerous pathogen. Humanity's been harbouring dangerous pathogens for how long? I mean, smallpox was running around freely for how many decades? And, you know, we can't compare COVID-19 to smallpox, not by any stretch of the imagination. So, you know, we are well tripping out over into the realms of fantasy here. So all I can do is, as a simple British citizen, is call out to sense and sanity. And, you know, as I say, look at those two documents. That, you know, when you're dealing with the government, that'll just go and alter Crown copyright documents without even mentioning that fact until a member of the public asks questions about it. Oh, suddenly, all right then, a month later, a few weeks later, they've suddenly decided to update the Crown copyright. I mean, that is a serious matter, that a government can just go into PDFs, document, Crown, government published Crown copyright documents, make alterations and not even leave a trace there that any alteration has been made. I mean, I think that is serious. I think it's very important. It's serious because it is a sign that this government has no grip. Or whoever's in control of the government, they haven't got a grip on reality. They've not got a grip on the law of why it is important to have documents when government Crown copyright documents, when they are altered, there needs to be an immediate mention of that is important. And when they can't even attend to a little detail like that, and they're coming up with this bill as well. Do people care about children in this country or not? Are we going to recognise the risks to children here or not? Because I say that the risks that the children are facing are far, far greater than anything that COVID-19 is presenting. And we all need to think very seriously about that.